What's up, guys, and welcome back to Stereotherapy. I'm your host, Lisa, and as always, I'm joined by my favorite person and co host, Justine. If you're new here, we are the show that showcases the importance of music and mental health. We would appreciate it and would mean so much to us if you would hit that little follow button and support the show by giving us a rating on any platform you are currently listening to this right now. Remember, as always, you can head over to our website at www.stereotherapypod.com. We've got some blogs, a playlist, and I should have it all updated by the time you're listening to this. Today, we are talking about the band that so many adored growing up and pop punk kings, and probably your gateway to so much like Justine and I. We're talking the one and only GC baby. And today is dedicated to Good Charlotte. And what a fitting time to talk about this band and all they've done for so many, like Justine and I. It's just, this is so exciting for us because I remember Justine and I have always talked about Good Charlotte being the gateway for so much. And it was just so fitting. And then, like, the timing. So today is actually, so I got it wrong a little bit because I saw the date for Hold On was today was released. No, the actual album Young and the Hopeless was released today, 2021 years, because last year was, so 21 years, which is wild to think about that weird thing. But Justine, before we get into our love for Justine, I know we talked already a little bit, but like, how are you? How's it going?
Good. It's officially spooky season, baby.
I know.
My
Oh my
time to
God.
shine.
It's like I feel the same way. Like I felt the same way. Like I got a lot of cool stuff. But like whenever I think of spooky season, I just think of you because it's like I think of this is Justine's time. Like even though I love it, I'm like you like truly live it. So like
Yeah.
this is your time to shine. So like we are finally here. It is October. We are entering the 6th month of this podcast. Just so much stuff. It's like crazy to think about. So again, thank you to everyone that's been listening. And this is going to be a good one. And I can't wait. And again, even if you're not a fan of Good Charlotte, before we get into it, if you just clicked on this, it's something to note the importance of this band and their mental health advocacy. So again, you can enjoy this without liking them. And who knows, maybe you'll go back and be like, oh yeah, I really did like them. So like cool your jets because I'm sure someone clicking on it is like, oh, Good Charlotte. Like, no, just relax. But if you are a fan, you're gonna really enjoy this one. So like let's just get into it, Justine. I'm gonna let you go first and just say like how I think I know. I may not know everything, but how has this band made an impact on your life? And how have you maybe seen like in the music world or like just your life specifically? What has the power of GC done for you?
Yeah. So the first time that I heard Good Charlotte was on a school bus for a
I,
field trip.
yeah.
I can't remember if I even told you like the exact
No.
story, but so I think it was like maybe 2001 ish. Time is blurry. So I think so I think like 2001 ish. I was probably like 13, 14 ish. And a girl I was friends with had me listen to her CD player because she thought I would like this band.
Hmm.
And weirdly enough, she also had me listen to Pennywise,
Oh my God.
which
I
I also loved,
Yes.
but it's just such a funny mixture. But after that was what led to me looking in magazines and getting in the chat rooms, trying to find out more bands to look into that were punk. And I'm sure there are like other similar stories. Like I wish I would have like maybe have asked how she got into them. Like I might have, but I don't remember. But I really didn't know anybody that liked Good Charlotte other than her. And even then, like she did not get a fully like obsessive like I had, mind you.
Mhm.
I had a complete collaged wall of just Good Charlotte pictures
Yep, same.
in my bedroom. And because they weren't in like a lot of magazines
Yeah.
at the time, I printed them out on the printer from our home computer.
I love that
And
so much.
my mom kept getting so angry because I kept using all the printer ink for
Yeah.
my pictures for my room. And I kept getting in trouble. She's like, you gotta stop. Like, we can't keep buying printer ink so often because you keep using it to print off pictures. And I'm like, but I have to. There's no other pictures to get them. Oh my gosh. Like, so funny. But like, so basically my entire bedroom, I had a pretty big bedroom, mind you. Like, it was collaged, floor to ceiling, with pictures of bands and posters and whatnot. It was all music related, okay? And except for my actual bedroom door. That one was, I think, just random pictures. And so GC was dedicated on my closet door. And this was only Good Charlotte pictures, but like mostly tiny pictures. So that's why it took up so much printer ink. But also I like had them on my notebook covers too, because I don't know what it was. Me and collaging, I was obsessed. That was like my medium. I loved collaging. So
Same.
collaging on my notebooks all over my bedroom. I think my bedroom really stressed out my parents because it was just so like busy for them that it freaked them out. And but yeah, didn't really know anybody else that listened to Good Charlotte, and I actually got made fun of quite a bit for it.
Yep.
Even after I started getting more into the goth scene, that's why people called me a poser, because they're like, well, why do you like Good Charlotte? Like,
Right. Exactly.
I'm like, have you seen them? Look how amazingly good looking they are, and their music's fun. Like,
Right. That's it. Right. Exactly.
it was like, okay, I'm sorry. But also, like, they, again, like what, like we talked about, they were the gateway band. So, like,
Mhm.
if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have gotten into like anything else. I wouldn't have gotten into the Smiths. I wouldn't have gotten into the Cure so much. I wouldn't have gotten into like, you know what I mean? Like, it started with Good Charlotte, but then that's when I started looking into goth subculture even more, and what made me get into more punk bands and get into more hardcore kind of music. It was the start of everything. But yeah, I don't even honestly remember a single kid that liked them in my school. And if they did, they just didn't vocalize it. But I was the only one that was just like hardcore into it. And that was my band. I had for the longest time my passwords on like AIM were Benji and Billy. Because those were my husbands, okay? Like,
I was gonna say,
those were my boys.
absolutely would see that, Justine. Absolutely. Like, I
Like,
was a
very
Joel.
much my type, yes.
Yeah, yes, 100%. Like, that's so funny you said that, because I could absolutely would have guessed that if, like, somebody was, like, a trivia
Oh, yeah.
question about you.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Those were the 2. Mainly Benji.
Mhm.
I would so I had gel pens and I would, like, draw a lot on myself, and particularly, I constantly drew on my knuckles because he had his knuckle tattoo.
Yes.
And I was constantly trying to think of, like, stupid things that would fit on my knuckles that I could write on with gel pens. Um, but, also, like, because they're a great, like, gateway band and I'm in the childcare, okay, I have a lot of families that really they know how, very into music I am, and, like, all genres, but, like, especially more alternative scenes. And I have had the privilege of having some families say that they gave me the freedom to be able to introduce their children into more alternative scenes because they didn't know how to introduce them. It wasn't something they were dived into, but they liked the idea of me being able to spread that like culture to them. And Good Charlotte is the punk band that I start kids in. You know, it's what started me into punk music, and that's what I am showing younger generations for new punk kids in the future.
I love to hear that, and that's because, like, I agree, like, they were just that fun band, and they were that safe band because to my knowledge, and anyone can correct me, I don't think they had, like, swear words. Like,
I think there's a couple in
m
there. It's not
maybe,
like
right? But not
there's
not
no fuck.
enough.
They
Right,
don't sing fuck, at least not
right,
that I remember.
right, not
But there are
enough.
curse words in there. Obviously there's still some kind of like sexual
Yeah,
innuendos
I
and stuff,
mean,
but like
yeah,
as everything. You know,
right,
that's why it's like if I get the okay
yeah,
from families and they're like, we're fine as long as it's not like super like, you know, like violent, like sexual kind of
well,
stuff,
yeah.
or like I've had some parents are like, we don't even care if there's cursing in it. Like that's fine. Like
Yeah,
they know. Like, you know, and I'm like,
yeah.
okay. So because like usually my first train of thought tends to be cursing. And I think there still is a little bit of cursing in some of their songs. Because if I remember
Mhm.
right, when I was like, because like I make like kids playlist all the time that are like that I know are safe songs to put on that aren't gonna be like really bad. And I think if when I remember right, there were a couple I was like, oh, there is curse word in there or something in there. And I was like, okay, maybe I won't put that one on there. But it's never, like I said, never fuck. Good Charlotte's still pretty clean, like regardless.
Yeah, I'm, like, looking up, like, just to be,
I
like, for
can't
the hell of
remember
it.
what it is.
No,
I
there
want to say
might
like
be.
there might be like a dam
Right, but I mean, come
or
on, like,
I don't know.
yeah,
Like
like,
it's
people
nothing
hear
in
worse on this
comparison to
podcast.
some. Yeah, it's
You'll
like nothing too bad, but I think there might have been like a couple things where it was like I can't play this in a school setting
Yeah.
because that was more so when I was looking at like curse words because obviously I couldn't be playing like, you know, any kind of cursing in a preschool setting. But when I had parents like permission, like where they're like, I don't care if there's cursing, then I could play it with their kids in their home or if they're in my car. But yeah, so they're usually one of the first bands I play for kids that are, you know, that can be introduced into punk music.
Oh, but I love that too because it's like you said, like, they much like you, they were that gateway into everything I
Exactly.
loved. Think about, like, not even us, but other people too that it be especially, like, bands like Social Distortion, Minor Threat,
Hmm.
probably even H2O maybe, like, there's bands that I know, even me
That's how
personally.
I learned about them too, was because of Good Charlotte, because Good Charlotte were such big fans of especially Minor Threat. They were
Ri
huge into Minor Threat.
right.
And so that's how I discovered Minor Threat.
Mhm.
I think
Same.
it is also how I discovered Social
Oh,
Distortion.
I think so too. 100%. Like, I probably ran into them, like, in a Warped Tour setting, but I think what made me, "Oh, she likes my" so like, Minor Threat and Social Distortion,
Yeah, oh yeah, it's in
anyways,
the
yeah,
song.
anyways, I'm gonna, like anyways, guys, I won't kill
Hilarious.
anybody with that, but yeah, but I mean, even that, and I think that's what also was like, "Oh, yeah," and I mean, I think I don't know, like, whether it was just this band. I think a lot of people maybe look down on Good Charlotte too because they changed their style in their career towards the end, especially after
Yeah.
Young and the Hopeless and where people are like,
Yeah,
"Come
that's
on
when they
now."
started changing
I
was with Life and Death Chronicles, I think is
y
the name of the
y
album.
yes, and I think and I get it, I understand, but I think those years of, like, 2000 to 2004
Mhm.
especially, they were it. They were that it
Yeah.
band, and it's like, I mean, I just think I don't know, if it was just the Warped Tour era or whatever kind of those bands. I mean, you like this band, whether you like to admit it or not. This
Yeah.
band made that impact, and it's
Like
like you said,
maybe you were called a poser like I was.
oh,
Like,
100%, 100%
I just
until
still doubled down. Like it was still my band. I didn't care. Like I that may probably made me like them more because
right.
people didn't like them.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
no, same.
but that's also I think why I have was always so weird about how to label myself goth or, punk or, emo was because like people were already calling me a poser. I didn't really have a label for myself. So that's when I got really weird about like I have to be specific what my label is. And now I'm like, listen, I call myself goth. And if you disagree, that's fine. I don't care. Like,
Oh, like 100%. And I think it wasn't until I saw them on the Honda Civic tour, and it was 2003, so I was a junior, and it was Less Than Jake was opening. It was Newfound Glory and Good Charlotte. And at that time, Newfound Glory,
that's a
oh
good
my
set.
God,
Like,
oh, it was
oh,
so good. And it's like
good
are
lineup.
they at that time, Newfound Glory and Good Charlotte were like the kings of that. And but the thing was, so they traded off, like Good Charlotte and Newfound Glory traded off headlinings. And so like the date on mine, it was Newfound Glory was headlining. And you at the time, honestly, Newfound Glory, you would have thought was the bigger band, the bigger catalog, the bigger presence. But when Young and the Hopeless came out that year, I mean, Good Charlotte was way bigger, and it showed because Good Charlotte played and so many people left, and that's when it hit me too. And I had my tour shirt and everything, and I stayed because I love Newfound Glory. I'm a huge fan. And another band that impacted my life, but Good Charlotte, I remember wearing the shirt the next day to school, like, "Oh, I'm so cool, like, I'm wearing this shirt, this tour shirt, like, everyone's gonna know I went to the show," and like, "Oh my god." And honestly, there were a couple people that came up to me and were like, "Oh, did you go?" I'm like, "Yeah, I went." I was like, "Oh my god, it was amazing, it was incredible. It was so good." And then there were some people that were like, obviously like, "Oh, you're the poser, that gay band."
Hmm.
Which, by the
Yep.
way, can we stop with that language? Like back then, that's what people would say. And
Back
it's
then, that was
I
the label that was used, which
I
is stupid.
oh,
But
so stupid.
that's why we definitely don't use it like that today. But
No.
unfortunately, I think I've seen a surgeons in younger kids doing it again, which hopefully that doesn't stay much longer. But
No, it's
yeah.
it's awful. And I mean, I think for me, the one thing about this band like that grabbed me too is like it was when I heard that beginning of their obviously Little Things, and
Hmm.
that this song's dedicated to ever kid that ever got picked last in gym
Yep.
class, to anyone that's never had no date, to any high school dads, to anyone who's ever been called a freak. And I
Yep.
think it was just like with that, it was like, oh,
That's why it resonated so
it
much. I know it
resonated
did for me.
so much. I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god," because I never had a date to there was only one time in my
Nope.
life I had a
Yep.
date, and it was because it was a forced thing where people in my life were like, "Let's go. Here's this guy, he'll go with you." And,
Oh
like, it was the
god.
most awkward experience
Oh
of my
gosh.
life,
I have had a situation like that as well.
and it was like, "Oh my god,
So
no." And it
uncomfortable.
was just one of those things, and it was like, I a funny story, oddly enough, that same person, not to go off on a tangent, guys, but I just think this is really funny because it's kind of intertwined with Good Charlotte. Is we were sitting down all together. I was getting to know this guy and was going to a school dance. And I remember saying how much I loved Newfound Glory. Like, I don't even know how it got brought up. Like, I love Newfound Glory. And they were just like, who? And like, just acting like, oh, that music or whatever. And I just remember sitting there for the rest of my life, like, no, I cannot date people that you can have a different music taste. You cannot sit here and diss something that's so important to me. And to me, music is anyone that's
Yeah.
ever met me, music is like that religious thing and it's sacred
Mhm.
thing. And it's
Yeah,
like if
same.
you dish something that I love so much, you're instantly like, okay, I never want to see you again.
Yep.
And that's
I used to be
horrible,
like that big
but I'm
time.
still, and it's like,
I still have like that gut feeling where I'm like, I don't think we're gonna be really close if you're gonna
right,
make fun of
right,
these
like,
certain bands. And like I try to let that go a little bit, okay? You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
you could have a difference in opinion, like it's fine. But when it comes to if I'm sitting you down and I'm like, this band is the band that saved my life,
Right.
and or this is my favorite band and like they are a huge deal to me and you're gonna make fun of me or degrade me for it, it's done. So we're not gonna
Mhm.
be friends or anything, like nope.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, that's, even like thinking about that. I just remember like during like, to me, Good Charlotte was that little, like, my little sanctuary when I would, like, put them in my headphones, and it was just everything, and I mean, I remember, again, when Young and the Hopeless came out, and it was insane, again, like, today is the anniversary of, like, the video I saw too,
It's
and maybe they
wild.
released at the same time because I saw the date on a video, so maybe I'm wrong, but, like, it's just wild to think about that and how it's like when Young and the Hopeless came out, it was just that they were starting to get so much bigger and more recognition. I think because
Hmm.
TRL was there and they were starting to put on these bands like Newfound
Yeah.
Glory was one of them. Good Charlotte was huge. And I just think like this band is truly what became my little obsession too, like much like you, Justine. And
Hmm.
like I had that little lunchbox from Hot Topic with
Which I'm so jealous about.
I'm
Guys, she showed me a picture of this lunchbox before we recorded, and
I
it
wish I still
was
had it.
amazing. It came with a thermos
Eh,
matching it and everything.
oh, and I used it as
Jealous.
the lunchbox, like, some people maybe not. I brought that to school, and again, you would get some looks and, I much like with your collages, I was a big
Hmm.
person on my books, and I would write, like, lyrics. So as
I
I
did that
had
too.
my
Oh,
Good
I did that
Charlotte lunchbox,
too.
listening to my music, I'm writing lyrics and, like, what like, Dashboard Confessional, Newfound Glory, Good
Hmm.
Charlotte. I don't know, any of those bands, Sum 41, like, any of those bands that were around then, I definitely did, but it's just is like it's that band was just everything to me, and I think it just is just oh gosh, I just thinking about, like, to my younger self with that and just being into them, and I guess when you think of songs like the anthem that really became like that anthem, not to sound cheesy saying that, but like to any kid that needed to hear it, and it was everything you wanted and needed to hear, and I know I played it over and over as someone that wanted to pursue music, and I knew I wasn't gonna go the route of everybody else, and I guess I can blame the young and the hopeless for that mindset, like, I don't wanna be
Yep.
just like you, and
Yep.
it's like, I had moments to where, like, when they were massive on TRL, I was literally practicing with my hairbrush, interviewing them, and
Yes.
somewhere there is a video
Oh,
project, I have to contact her, Miss Corbin, I wanna say her name was, um, at in my high school, that we did video production class of me pretending to be a VJ and introducing them and, like,
oh my
pretending
God.
like how
I
weird
love that.
and I just that's what I wanted to do, and I used Good Charlotte and Newfound Glory in one of them too, and it's like, maybe one day our lives will come full circle and, Benji and Joel Madden, literally, you are welcome anytime specifically, but the whole band Good Charlotte as a whole, because you guys are a band, but I would love to do that, and I think, again, even if you weren't a fan of Good Charlotte and where they took their career, this band was just so larger than life and everywhere, and you could not escape them. And I remember them playing like SNL one night, and I made my family sit down and like watch them play late at night. And
Oh
it's
my
like I'm
gosh.
all like they're singing the anthem with Joel had his gloves on, those like skeleton gloves.
Oh my God. The skeleton gloves. Yes.
And, like, I
Oh.
remember, like, just sitting there, like, "Oh my gosh," like and it was the most for me, being the anxiety kid that I am, the most, like, 20 or 2 minutes, whatever it is, right, that they're, like, singing, like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited," but, like, what are my parents thinking right now? Because like, this is, like, I'm loving this song, and, like, I don't and you know what? They didn't really care because they knew how
It
I
cracks me up
was.
they actually watched it with you
They
because
did.
my parents wouldn't have watched it with
Yeah,
me.
they did, and I think it was because I was just like, "Put on the TV, I wanna watch them," and I was
That's
just
so funny.
so obsessed with that, and it's like, I just think that, you know, again, this band and how they were such a big gateway was I found brand new because of Good Charlotte, because they were in their Jude Law and Semester Abroad video that brand new had. And I remember being like, there's Benji and Joel. Wait, I love Good Charlotte. Wait, if they're tight with this band, I need to check out this band. And again, that led me down a completely different rabbit hole because changed my life. Brand new became my other obsession and then led me to my love of my life, who one day I'm going to get married to. Eventually after 9 years, it will happen. But, I mean, I think for me, it's like, oh, wow, like, I would never have found that if not loving Good Charlotte so much
Yeah.
and checking them out and just doing all that, and I just feel like Good Charlotte gave that place to that kid that wasn't quite punk, wasn't quite pop punk, or not fitting in anywhere and just getting introduced to this stuff. And I mean, if you were not a girl loving Riot Girl, I don't know what else to say. And I mean, listening to it now, I know a little people would be like, it's a little cheesy, it's a little this. No, I loved that. We're like, Christina wouldn't want to meet us. She hates you, Brittany, so you better run for cover. Anyways, I'm not gonna, but anyways, I love, that song. I love it so much. And I think it just, for me, I wanted to be that girl with like tattoos and piercings and like, I didn't want to be like Christina. I didn't want to be like Brittany. I wanted to be like Good Charlotte's Riot Girl. And again, I was that junior in high school, and I wanted to be like that. Maybe I'm alone in that, but around me in my area, all the girls, not all the girls, but a lot of the popular girls, right, were the Abercrombie and the
Mhm,
all that, going to pep assemblies, which I would ditch out, I would leave.
mhm. Oh,
And
yeah.
I never want to do. And again, sorry, mom, if you're listening to this, but I did ditch and I would come home early and I didn't want to do that. But I was just like to the beat of my own drum. And I think Good Charlotte just provided that. And I think it's like, again, important to note that this band is in the Punk Rock Hall of Fame. And I know so many of you are going to say, why? What the hell? But think about what they were during those early years, especially. And any
Yeah.
kid that later on dove into pop punk or punk, those early Warped Tour era bands, this band definitely played a role for all of us. And it's just such an important band for the genre, in the genre. I know my life would not have been the same if I was not into Good Charlotte the way I was, and the obsession, and that still, like, I watched that video of Joel singing for, oh my gosh, what is her name? Richie,
Nicole
not
Richie.
not Nicole Richie, her
Oh.
sister, Sophia.
Oh.
Sophia Richie's
Oh, okay.
wedding. Sophia's Richie, say that 10 times fast, everybody.
Ooh.
Sophia Richie's wedding. Joel sang Lifestyles of the Rich and the Famous for her because obviously that's his, like his wife's sister, so his sister-in-law. But how many years was that? And like they're rocking out. It's her wedding. She's like in a little white dress. And that song still hits all these years later. And you have like Cameron Diaz in the crowd, like you have, but it's like, it's insane to just think about where they're at. But it's like, again, like, even if you don't like this band, they made such an impact and they truly were everywhere. And you could not escape them. And you see today, like, I'm that person. If they really do a tour and they play Young and the Hopeless back to back or whatever the hell they do, I will go. And I don't care. I'm 37. I will be so excited to see Good Charlotte. Call me a poser all you want. That band has my heart forever. And like that's my take on Good Charlotte. I gotta say it. But we have to dive into this band and how they played a role in mental health awareness. And I mean, that's why I know it was so important to do a band like this because so many people have been saved by this band. I know, Justine, you're one of them, and I know myself as well in some ways. And I know you briefly shared in our mental health episode. And if anyone didn't listen to that, go back because that's a really important episode. But and again, yeah, Justine, I know you've shared too,
Mhm.
but I think that specifically Hold On. But how has this band made an impact in your mental health? And how do you think they're kind of spreading that awareness?
Yeah, so I shared my story, like specifically with Hold On, back in the mental health episode, but I'm gonna kind of reshare, but also share a little more, maybe. So I was very suicidal in my young teens. No one was dealing with anxiety and depression like me, or like at least openly. Like I'm sure people were battling it and they just didn't talk about it.
Right.
But also, what I had heard anyways about anxiety and depression was just never quite what I was really experiencing, which I know now is because I'm autistic. um, and I definitely have what's called a PDA profile, and that's a specific like profile for autism, which stands for pathological demand avoidance, which means I mentally fight for autonomy even without trying. So that means any kind of demand. even if you ask really nicely, my brain wants to go, no, I'm not going to do that. And it can even happen like if I keep telling myself something I need to do, like if I'm demanding myself, like, I really need to do chores today, my brain, along with like having severe executive dysfunction, will make me not want to do it because it's too much of a demand. And because of that, that's just kind of like the most simplistic way I can put. There's like other things that have to do with PDA. But because of all of that, I was pretty full of rage. Because like I constantly just had to be opposite of other people.
Mhm.
Also because I didn't understand myself. Like I didn't know I was autistic. So like all of this very confusing. I didn't know anybody else that was dealing with this. I didn't really know how to talk about it because it's like back in the day, especially, early 2000s, um, seeing somebody just not want to do something just comes off like you're lazy. But there was no way for me to explain that my body and my brain can't really connect to do these things, and it wasn't laziness. So it was super confusing. It still makes life very hard. Like I've gotten a lot better when it comes to like, if somebody is asking me to try something, I'll try it. But even so, still my body is like, they're really wanting you to try this too much. Like, ooh, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I want to watch this show because somebody's asked me to watch it a lot because they think I'm gonna like it. Like, and that's been super interesting to figure out with friendships as well. But luckily I have a lot of friendships that like kind of understand that there's a way. If you want me to do something, there's a way to do it. For instance, if there's a show or a band you want me to listen to, you have to be there with me so I can kind of see how it brings out joy in you for me to really get it and like it more. Yeah, it made life really confusing and I didn't know anybody that was dealing with any of that. So shoot forward to Christmas of 2003. I got Good Charlotte's Young and the Hopeless. And I was planning on ending it all before New Year's. I had put on my new CD and then Hold On came on and I completely broke down. And I took it as a sign that I was supposed to still be here. And I told my parents, and that's what got me into therapy for the first time. More of a kind of more uplifting kind of story. So you can keep going.
I
I
No, it's important you said that and you repeated
yeah,
that story because in case anyone
it
didn't hear
it
it, because I think it
yeah,
truly
but it
shows.
also goes along with the story. You know what I mean? It
Right. I think
connects more.
it truly shows how music can play a role and save a life truly and what it did for you. And I think a lot of people, it's just again, like everybody is so happy that you're still here. And I think it's amazing that luckily you found something like that that resonated, that you were able to still go on. And I think that's truly what the song is about. So it's like
Yeah.
I do. So if like anyone didn't hear that, I'm glad if you hear it now because that's so
I
important.
I thought it was important to bring it up again. Like I
Yeah.
know like, sometimes, we'll talk about little snippets like and other things. Like this was on the mental health episode, but this is dedicated specifically for Good Charlotte. So it's like I have to include it because
Yeah.
it's part of the story.
Yeah.
But I have some more little stories to share
Ooh,
because
let's go.
like, okay, so I didn't even think about it until this episode we decided to do it. And I was like, "Oh my god, I have to talk about this stupid little story because it's it's like just imagine teenage Justine, okay? So there was this episode of Oprah and I can't remember specifically what she was like asking people to want to be on the show for. I can't remember, it was like for your favorite musician or like just if you could meet somebody famous. Like I can't remember the specifics of what she wanted people to write in for. So I wrote in that I really wanted to meet Good Charlotte. so that I could tell them how much I loved them and that they saved my life. And obviously I wasn't chosen, but it just like I just totally remembered that whenever we talked about how we were going to do a Good Charlotte episode, I was like, I have to talk about that because I was an avid Oprah fan too. Okay,
Oh,
so
same here for
like,
whatever reason. I'm not, yeah.
oh, listen, it was a part of the 90s.
Yep.
Okay, Oprah was the it person. It was just is. I thought that was hilarious. I was like, I should probably mention that because
Yes.
that's how deep in it I was. Okay, like I wanted if I could figure out how to meet them. Oprah was talking about getting people on the show to meet people, and I was like, this could be my chance. I need to write in. Okay, but it's obviously I was not chosen, but maybe one day at some point this
I
could
was gonna
happen. Who knows?
I was gonna ask, have you ever met them?
No,
Me
God, I wish
either. Me either.
because I would. They're definitely one I would have on my bucket list if I could
Mm-hmm.
meet somebody.
Same. Mm-hmm.
Um, so I never ended up going to any of their shows, and because they played Warped Tour 2004.
Yeah.
My first Warped Tour was 2003. I was so upset because for Warped Tour 2004, I had to go to my cousin's wedding, and I was so distraught that I had to be in Colorado for this wedding, and I didn't have my chance to go see Good Charlotte, and I was devastated and so upset. Never got to see them until finally 2018. My best friend knows how big Good Charlotte was for me, and I was so excited to see that they were coming to St. Louis, and she's like, well, we're going.
Yeah,
So
right.
I finally got to go see them, and let me tell you, it was such an amazing,
Oh, that's so
fun
awesome.
show. I don't know what it is. Okay, I'm no matter how silly you feel like it would be to go to a show of somebody that you loved in your high school days, or just younger days, okay? Especially if it's a band that you were just super into. There is nothing I can say to encourage that more because the best shows that I have gone to were like Good Charlotte. Going to see them in 2018, that crowd is full of millennials.
Yeah, I was gonna
Okay,
say, yeah, what was the crowd like?
it was fun.
Yeah.
I went to see Simple Plan whenever Simple Plan had their anniversary tour for oh, I can't remember the name of the album. Something Just Balls, whatever.
Oh,
I know Just Balls is that it.
all pads,
Yes.
no helmets, or hang on.
Yes.
Anyways, I'll look.
Anyways,
I'll look it up.
I went to the anniversary show they were doing for that, and I went to that. So much fun, hilarious. Even the guys were just like, "All right, everybody, let's sing I'm Just a Kid," even though we're a bunch of adults right
Right.
now. None of us are kids right now, unless you brought your children. But let's all sing it together, and it was so much fun. And then, like, I went to see Backstreet Boys finally for the first time, also in 2018. There is nothing I can tell you is more fun of a show than to release your inner child
Mm-hmm.
out of these shows because you will have the most fun times no matter how stupid you think you're going to be for going to something like Simple Plan or Good Charlotte, the Backstreet Boys. I would love to go to NSYNC if they go on tour and I can actually get a ticket.
Yeah.
Like,
Ooh.
I'm going to tell you right now, if there is a band, no matter how silly of a band it seems, go to it because it is going to be the best absolute fun you're going to have as an adult. So just do it. Don't ignore the fact that you think you're going to be silly. Just do it.
Oh, 100%. Like I sadly have not seen them since that tour. Maybe there was a tour a little after I think I did, but it's been a minute since I've seen Good Charlotte. And like I recently saw that they were touring here and they were here like a couple years ago. I think that 2018, like you're
That
talking
was
about.
probably the same tour.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
Where the hell was I? I was at Starland Ballroom here. Like, I would have, are you kidding me? That's 30 minutes from my house. Like, that could have been my moment. And I agree with you there. Like, go see them. And
Yeah.
I think that, it just, yeah, you gotta, like, me, like I said,
No,
like, if
absolutely
they
go.
announce a tour, I'm going. And that's why, like,
You should definitely go. If they
you
come
gotta.
nearby you again,
I'll
you
buy
need to
the,
go because oh my gosh, let me tell you, they are still on
that's
it.
what,
They're
yeah,
still on their
still.
game. Oh, it
That's
was a
so
wonderful
awesome to
show.
hear that because, like, that's the
Yeah.
one thing, and not like in a rude way, but sometimes with these
Yeah, no,
bands,
they
right?
still
Like,
sounded like they probably would have sounded back in
oh
2003.
my
Still
God.
sounded the same.
Oh
It
my
was
God.
wonderful.
I must, and maybe I'll get the VIP. I'll see that and like I'll get my
Yeah.
photo finally be like, oh my God, guys, like I'm 37
Yeah.
and I'm like, are we like the happiest person? And like people don't understand. Like that's like for me, and they were even talking about like their mental health awareness. It's like they're just such this important band at that time. And I think like when we talk about Hold On, like you were talking about too, like they open up that video with the message and messages about suicide. There's even a
Mhm.
disclaimer that comes like whether it's YouTube or anything that it discusses it. And I think that it's just something that was so powerful back then because again, I don't remember if there was another music video exposing that in that way. And maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember. Like they had people that lost people close to them, and I think it just really hit, and I think I just remember seeing it and being that junior, senior in high school, and it just hitting hard because, again, like, we didn't really talk about this stuff as much as we
Mhm.
did do
Yeah, we really didn't
now.
back then.
It
Yeah.
wasn't like, "Oh," like, you didn't or even mental health, and like, I was just going through a lot family-wise during that time, and later on, it would be one of those things that, became and still is an anthem and, for not giving up and, that you can make it out the other side, and when we talk about music and mental health and how they are intertwined, here is the song that could be put on some plaque to like have anyone see it and hear it because hold on, that legacy of that song and that moment is so important. And I think some people maybe forgot about that when they had views on Good Charlotte. But I think that's going to be their legacy. Like if it's not already,
Mhm.
like songs like that in music videos and their stance on mental health awareness and always being there and that album or that song came about because they would get letters from fans that it said like good Charlotte saved my life. You've gotten me through this. I'm experiencing depression and anxiety too and things like that. And I think them saying they've read everything. And I think that's really, really important because that just shows how much they care and that they saw, wow, we can really make an impact. And they've said too before, like Benji and Joel in interviews specifically saying, like, if it reaches one person and one person knows it's okay, then that's worth any thing, this is why we're doing it. And like why they started the band was because of what they went through in their family life and
Mhm.
wanting to do that. And it's like they've never forgotten where they came from. Again, I don't personally know them. Maybe someone who personally knows them or has met them is going to say, oh, I don't know about that. But like from my point of view and from
Yeah.
anyone, like they to me, they've always remembered that. And that's just so important. And I think if you haven't heard it for whatever reason or just revisit it and you can see like back then that stance it was just something and I'll post the video too and like a link in the description or whatever and we can revisit it all together but I think it just is so just impactful and I think I kid said the same thing like I just would go completely into how much they also mean in terms of what Benji and Joel have discussed about their father leaving and impacting them. Because if anybody knows me, I'm not going to go into everything because we don't got all day for that. We don't need that. But
Mhm.
I had a similar thing happen. And although it wasn't alcoholism with my father did leave. I hadn't completely worked through so much and I'm still working on it to this day, but I think hearing and seeing them be so open about that and how something like that, again, Justine, like you say, our environment or things that happen to us can
Mhm.
impact mental health.
Yes.
And it really is. And it's so true. And I'm convinced that's where my anxiety started to fully come out of keeping all that in. And when reality, should I have kept that all in? No. Was I ready as a teenager to fully dive into, yes, my father left me and I am going to talk about this to a stranger when therapy was still taboo and things like that. And my mom had suggested, I said, no, like, like anyone would.
Mhm.
And I've got this. And I think Good Charlotte was one of those bands that I really clung to, and specifically the song "Emotionless" on The Young and the Hopeless. And it's just like we talk about music speaking the words we can't, and for me, this song was it. And I'm not gonna lie, when we were going through this episode, because I always wanted to do my little deep dive, like, what am I missing? What did not see? I put it on and I had to shut it off. So as anyone knows, I'm still not there. And I think I had to shut it off because it still hits. And I think
Mhm.
that's the thing, how real their music really was if you listen to it. Sure, they had the fun stuff, like the little things, or they had the
Yeah.
fun stuff like Riot Girl, which I'm like, yeah, like, but I think, or Girls and Boys, but I think when you take that aside and you peel back, a lot of the things they talk about are real things. And I think that's why even in 2018, like you were saying, like people are still going, whether they're new or old fans, and they have that connection. And I think for me, that's why I gravitated towards them and hearing their story and being like, wow, someone I love and admire is talking about this. And they're coming out the other side. And I think it's just Good Charlotte, again, has always talked about things like this, and I think that any album, they've always had that one song that they wanted to reach someone, and that's always been their goal, they've said, and, like, you've got Hold On, obviously, we just talked about, but you've got on the
Mhm.
the Chronicles of Life and Death, it was We
Mhm.
Believe. Oh my gosh, on Good Morning Revival, I'm like, "I know there's another one." March On. So they have their entire platform was always to help people and make people feel less alone, and they've always done that. And I think you also look at like the foundation that Joel had with his wife Nicole Richie that supported moms and their families in need. And he's a UNICEF Goodwill ambassador. Like when we talk about like walking that walk as far as using your platform, whether it's mental health, and especially with the women, the moms and their families, that goes back to their home life, right? And experiencing that and what they went through when their dad left. And I think that's great. They give back. And they've just always been that band I felt like that helped hopeless kids and are out there making people feel less alone. And that's why I think this band is just so sacred to so many of us to this day. And again, I'm waiting for that Young and the Hopeless tour or whatever tour so I can go and just be like, even if I have my little one at that point, or I'm pregnant, I'm gonna be like, "Oh my god," like, if they play Riot Girl, or if I hear Emotionless or Hold On, it's gonna be so powerful, I'm sure. So it's
Mhm.
like, I just again, like, this band has done so much for mental health awareness, and even if you're not sure, or you just weren't a fan, or you're like my fiance that's like, "I just know the hits," and he knows, like, 2 hits, he doesn't know them all, but, like, and, like, it's like, for me, it's just that obsession, and I think, again, I gravitated towards because of who they were as people,
Mhm.
or again, who I knew as people, right? Because I don't know, but
Yeah, I was
for
gonna say, I'm like,
me.
we might not truly know everybody if it's a
Right,
musician or celebrity, but that doesn't mean like their message isn't hitting us in a way that, not everybody's gonna get to you like that. You know what I mean?
right, and I think, again, like, I could see I don't know in the punk rock museum, but, Fat Mike,
I
if you're
really want to
if
go to the punk rock
oh,
museum
we've
so
gotta,
bad, like bucket list.
like Fat Mike, if you're somehow listening to this,
Oh
1, we would love
gosh.
to go and
Mm,
cover
yeah,
it. I'd love to go see it, but 2, you should definitely have Hold On some kind of plaque hung up where Good Charlotte's stuff is, because that deserves, like, again, that song deserves to be put on
something
something
special.
really special because it truly is, and I think a lot of us didn't understand how impactful it was gonna be, but even,
Mhm.
like, I was looking recently just to gear up for this too, and there are people still saying like, "This band saved my life. This band was the
Yeah.
one that was my first CD. This album was everything. It got me through everything. Hold On is why I'm still here, much like you just seen. Like there were so many
Mhm.
comments, and it was not just one or two. I had to scroll, and it was just still. So I think again, that's why it was just so important to talk about this band. And I think they're just so important, and at the same time, they are my youth, they're my fun, they are my just
Mhm.
everything. I don't care, GC baby till I die. But,
Mhm.
we'll bring it up a little bit, but we have to dive into our favorites because, again, we have both said they're the gateway to so much that we love today. But I wanna
Mhm.
know, what are your favorites, Justine? Because again, like, I knew Hold On, like, we've kind of
Yeah,
talked,
like we've
but,
talked
like,
about Hold On.
what are some of your favorites?
Okay, so Little Things,
Yes.
obviously because the music video, but also
Yes.
that's the very first song I had
Right.
heard. So that's the
Mhm.
first one on the track list. Waldorf Worldwide because it's
Yes.
just really fun.
Yes.
um, Seasons because I always just thought it was such a pretty song.
Oh my god.
I just
I'm laughing because I'm like, are we gonna have a lot of the same ones? Go ahead.
we probably will.
Yeah.
So the song Wondering because I don't know if you know this, but Benji wrote that song about his dog Cash.
Yes. Another thing, Cash
So
Dog. Oh
that's
my
why
god.
that song's always been one of my favorites because I'm like, if anybody who knows me knows my animals have always meant more than any human person could ever mean.
Mhm.
So like when I had heard back in the day that that song's about his dog, that just mean me and Benji's connection is so much stronger. Okay, so listen, I'm gonna be weird. I will always be weird about Benji because Benji was like my one first love.
Oh,
So
come
anyways, Riot Girl because I always thought that song was about me.
you're right.
Like literally thought it was about me. I even had a patch that said Riot Girl on it
Oh my god.
that I had found somewhere. Who knows if that's still at my parents' house? Like I want to hope it is, but there's no telling. Um, then of course Lifestyles because it's also fun and the video is fantastic. And then I know everybody hated the Chronicles of Life and Death, but I just want to live is just so fun and makes you want to dance. And I don't care how much people didn't like that album. It still had really good songs on it, but like that song in particular, it's wonderful.
No, I love that. Like, I think a lot of people didn't give a lot of their later work a chance. And I think if you and I understand, I get it. But I think, yeah, I agree with you. There's still some really good songs on their later works that I think people just are like, oh, they're shit now. But they sold out. But like they've
Yeah.
always said too, like, look, we've been told we were sold out from like day one. So like for us, it was like
Yeah.
whatever. Like, we are who we are.
That's what I'm telling you why the Poser label came out strong because like I don't know what it was, but people were convinced for like whatever reason, like even though they were like super big, I guess maybe just because of how big they got, that
Right.
people assumed that you have to be a poser if you like this band. And it's like, uh, no.
No,
Like, how is
no.
it? I'm sorry. There is really no difference if you liked Good Charlotte or if you liked Blink 182 back in the day. It's just
Right.
for some reason, people felt like Blink 182 was legit and Good Charlotte wasn't, which is silly because I loved both and I still love both. There was a lot of shame for a while when it came to Good Charlotte because of how much I was made fun of throughout high
Same.
school. To be fair, again, super obsessed. So like
Right. Same here.
again,
Right. Yeah,
but
I get
again,
it.
I am autistic. So when something really resonates with me, I go from 1 to 100. It's my life now. That is my lifestyle. That is who I am as a person. So like at the same time, that could have been part of it, but like at the same time, I think it's also because nobody liked them in my school. But like there was a lot of shame for a while because then, I was with somebody a big chunk of time that also did not like them, was very verbal about that, like not only which is Good Charlotte, but with Blink 182. So there came this like kind of shame of like, I'm I'm not allowed to like them. You know what I mean? To be liked. And so now that like I really know who I am and it took a long time to get back to my true self and everything, like I don't care anymore. This band meant a lot. If I'm in a Good Charlotte mood, I'm gonna listen to it. Like
Yeah.
there's no shame for me with any band anymore because I spent so many like at that big chunk of time with my ex where I was very ashamed of so many types of music because he said it was either too loud or it was stupid music. Like for him, Blink 182 and Good Charlotte was dumb. It wasn't good music. That was just stupid music that people listen to. And so I spent a long period of time where wasn't allowed to listen to certain things because like somebody else didn't like it. And then, after I left him, there was a lot of like going back to this kind of stuff
Mhm.
because this was me. This was truly when I was me. And I'm going to like it. And I don't care if people make fun of me. So I'm going to listen to the Spice Girls. I'm going to listen to Good Charlotte. I'm going to listen to Blink 182. And I don't care if you call me a poser, if you think it's silly. I don't care anymore. I listen to what makes me happy. And I think that's what more people need to realize too. It doesn't matter. Somebody's going to call you a poser. If somebody doesn't like the same genre of music as you, that doesn't mean you should change yourself to be more palatable. Do what makes you happy. And Good Charlotte made me happy, and Good Charlotte still makes me happy. And I know there's still a little stigma with them, but
Yeah.
I don't care anymore at this point. I
Well,
am almost 36, and I'm gonna listen to Good Charlotte, damn it.
I'm with you in that, and it's like I even like talking about this episode with G, right? And I was just like talking to him a little bit, and I was like, "What did you think about Good Charlotte?" And that's what he said about the hits or whatever. And I was like, "G, there, just to let you know, there will be no slander in this house because this band is a very important band, and when we get married and we have our big little wedding, we're gonna have like one of those like emo playlists, like pop
Yeah,
punk. We're gonna have it, and I'm gonna be in my custom chucks that I have. I already have them already. I have the custom chucks,
I love
and
it.
I'm gonna have them underneath my dress, and we are gonna just create. And I'm telling you, there's gonna be a good Charlotte song. I don't know which one,
Yeah.
but there's going to be, and it's just gonna be like my life full circle. And I totally agree with what you said there, where you have to stick to who you are. That's a mistake
Yeah.
I made when dating
I
some
think
people, and
a lot of,
now,
especially as as a feminine or feminine presenting person, we feel like we have to be what others want us to be. And if
yeah,
you've seen the Barbie movie, you know all about it. Like we feel like we have to be a certain way. We have to give up our childhood things that we like. That was a big part of the Barbie movie if you have not seen it. We give up these things because we have to grow up, but boys are allowed to have it. Boys can always
mhm,
cling on to their childhoods and it's fine, but girls, it's not seen that way. And it just goes along with like we have to be what they want us to be, which is dumb. And I'm hope if anything that the Barbie movie does is hopefully with the younger generations to come that stops. um there's still a lot of work to do, but like that's the thing, like don't do it. If there's a boy who's trying to tell you you have to like certain music or like certain things, no, you like what you like, and if it's the right boy, they will love you anyways.
and you know what? And to that too, if it's the other way around and a girl, because I've seen sometimes some
Yes.
guys go through this
No,
too,
I
where
think it happens with boys too, absolutely.
and it's like it's a thing. And I see so many guys where they'll, oh, I want to, listen to this music, but I can't. I'm like, see, that's
Yep.
where I'm the opposite. I'm cranking it up, like, and it just is. G just knows it is what it is, and like this is what you get. And
Hmm.
if I go to a concert I really love, where I listen to a new album, like any new album that comes out, I'll be like really jacked up and excited. And of course, I talk to him because he lives with me. He's my
Yes.
fiance. He's my
Yes.
partner. Like, so
It's the same with me and Tim.
he's
Tim
gonna
hears
hear about
everything,
it.
whether he cares about it or
Right.
not, but he's gonna listen because
Right. It
he
just
loves
is.
me and he'll
And
deal with it.
right. And G knew the package deal was
Yep.
that with music and me. So he knew, but it's like, I 100% agree with what you're saying there because it's so important. That's why I'm so glad we're doing this
Hmm.
episode too with Good Charlotte because of that. Because I think
Yeah.
they were kind of that one that you were like, "Oh, can I?" And I was like, "No." I always was like proud with my little lunchbox, and it's like, I don't know. I loved hearing your list because as we are so similar, But, like, it cracks me up because, like, some of, like, what some of my favorites, I've got Wondering is on there. I don't know what
Yeah.
it is. I think it's just it's I don't know, I've always loved Joel's vocals, and especially, like, I don't know, like and I loved like, I don't know, I just love the way the song sounds, like, I don't know how
Yeah.
else to describe it. I don't have
Well,
some
that's why,
deep
like,
meaning
some
into
of
it.
these I have, like, it's a lot of fun because, like, it is, but it's the beat of it, but
Right.
also just, like, it's more of like, not a serious song. Like, there's some that aren't serious, but, like, you still love them because you can still
Oh,
kinda relate to it, but,
like
like, at the same time, it's not, like, a super in-depth for reason why you like it, and that's
oh,
fine.
yeah, like, I mean, again, I have, like, festival song on there because it just
Yeah.
reminds me of Warped Tour, it just reminds me I don't know, Screamer,
Mhm.
I have Emotionless on there, obviously, because that one, it was so, like, just impactful for me. Hold On, obviously. Riot Girl, because like you, I said I was gonna
Yeah.
be that Riot Girl.
No, that was me.
I was gonna be their Riot Girl, and I wanted to be that. Now I have my tattoos. I don't
Yep.
have piercings yet still. But I was just that girl was like, "Oh my god, I can be something other than, not like the Britney or the Christina." And
Yeah,
it's
because
wild because people are gonna say, "Oh, well, like who they married or who they got into
I
and
know,
stuff." Okay,
that's my joke
but
of being super bitter, and, like,
it's
it
like,
it does go against this song in particular, and it's a joke, though,
but
like, I
right.
they seem so happy together, and
Oh
it's
my
fine.
god.
It's
Yeah,
just the ongoing joke
but
of, like, he was in my past words. He was supposed to be my husband,
but
but, like, also, it's just, you know, like, that goes to in turn with my things, like, because like, once I got to high school, again, once I was starting to get more into the alternative culture, like, I knew that if anybody knew, like, well, everybody knew. That's another reason why I was called a poser a lot too, was because I liked Britney Spears, I liked
Mhm.
NSYNC, I liked Backstreet Boys, and, so that's was like the first beginning of like kind of being shamed as well as like the whole Good Charlotte thing and whatnot is because like I was afraid to listen to that anymore. So I stopped because I was like, I'm into alternative music anymore. I'm not allowed to listen to that anymore because if I did, I'm not really goth or punk or emo or any of that. So I stopped listening to pop music because again, it was like, no, I'm not allowed to listen to that anymore if I'm alternative in any kind of
Well,
manner,
oh,
which is
yeah.
so silly.
It is. It's so silly, and, like, that's why I think it's I almost took the route of Joel and Benji because if anyone looks at my fiancé, they're like, he is now, I love G with all my heart, but, like, totally different than me. When I met him even,
So is Tim.
I was like, "What?"
You
And I
know?
think that's what it goes to show too, and like, you just meet who you meet, but it's like,
Yeah.
it's it made me laugh because I did think of, like, that, like, oh, I was that riot girl, and sometimes I still feel that way, like, when we're out and about with people, and I'm like, I got my tattoos, I'm like the one
Yeah.
girl that's, like, got tattoos around here, and I'm always like, my red hair now too, my tattoos, and I'm like and then, like, no offense to any of the other girls too around, but I was like, yeah, I'm definitely into, very, very different, but it
Yeah.
just goes to show, like, who you can connect with, and I love my story of how,
It's
like,
true.
because once again, here's my full circle. Good Charlotte, loving Brand
Yeah.
New, met my fiance because of Brand New, like,
Yeah.
so thank you, Good Charlotte, because if not for you, I would not be here, I would not be in New Jersey, I would not be doing so much stuff, and I almost forgot Bloody Valentine, that one
Oh god,
100%.
that's a good one too.
That
Yeah.
is so, so
Oh,
good, and
so good.
I think, oh, just so good, and it's like, even, like, looking back on this band, like, I just I can't, like I said, like, so much of my life is because of this band and
Yeah.
my obsession like you, and I loved when I found out that you have that obsession too, because I was like,
Yeah.
I know some other people had
I
to have because
Nothing felt more good for me to find out that you were into Good Charlotte as well because again, like I didn't know anybody who really liked them
I
like
didn't
me.
know a lot. No,
If somebody liked them, like they just liked them, but they didn't like
right,
it
they weren't
wasn't
like
their band.
us. Yeah.
And like I never had anybody to resonate that with. I think that was another I think was a great reason for us to come back to this band too, is just like to hit all these points because look at us both now. We're both like very much we know who we are. and we like what you like. You know, we don't have that influence of like needing to be ashamed
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever. And we both have our significant others, and like, just be you. Like,
Yeah.
the right people are going to come to you, like, obviously still the wrong ones will, trust me.
Yes. I was just
They
gonna say.
they're gonna be in friendships or
Yeah.
in,
Right.
you know, significant others, but you need to stick to being you. And, you know, if somebody is being real nasty to you about what you like, there's a reason why you should listen to that and maybe think that maybe those people shouldn't be in your life,
Mm-hmm. And
you know,
yeah,
because their opinion shouldn't matter.
I think another reason why it was so important too with this episode is like by us staying true to ourselves, you know, like so much in our lives, like it just, and again, it stuck to, as little as that sounds, to love Good Charlotte and not be ashamed of that. And I think there's so many other people out there that are like us too. So like I want to hear
Yeah.
like if there's anyone else, because I know I've seen it. I saw the comments, I saw the stuff. Like I was like, this is so amazing to hear there's more people like us
Yeah.
out there because they're just so important. And if for any reason, Joel or Benji and the entire Good Charlotte crew, I say Joel or Benji
Mhm.
because I know Joel's got his podcast, you never know, Artist Friendly, and which I listen to all the time. And I for any reason, just you've impacted two
Mhm.
people. I know a lot more. And so thankful for what you've done for us, for others, and continue to do, because like I said, their efforts don't stop, you know. And then they continually try and work with artists and help artists, you know, and like they continually walk that walk. And again, this is just like my like, no way are they listening to this, but if you are, forever thankful for everything. And I would not, much like you, I would not be in this great wonderful relationship without Good Charlotte. So
Mhm.
I mean, would I have found brand new? Maybe. Would I have found them as
Yeah, I was gonna say.
easily as, I mean, I
eh,
probably would have, but if would I have and became obsessed as
I was
much?
gonna say it might
Probably
not have
not.
been the trajectory that happened though.
Right.
Like you might not have gotten so into brand new.
No. Because
But
like
you never know.
obviously I
But
love,
honestly, that was probably why I got into brand new too.
yeah,
And
there's the
like
video. You gotta watch
I
them
never
all.
really
You'll
thought
see
about
them.
it, but that's
Yep.
honestly probably what got me into brand new as well, which
Mhm.
again, like
There you go.
as much as me and Lisa both have Circus Survive tattoos, we both also have brand new tattoos.
Yeah. I know. Yep. Done both. We got him. I don't know.
We managed to just somehow keep getting like correlating tattoos
I-
without even
Right,
meaning to.
without even knowing. Yep. And it's,
Yep.
yeah, so it is, but but I also I want to say before we wrap it up for today, guys, I'm going to say thank you so much for listening. Appreciate anyone that subscribed and checked out our little podcast and just let us have fun with stuff. Like we just did those my chem like uh awesome pictures and videos I posted. Go check them out at our Instagram. Again, that's at stereo.therapy. You can go and hang out and check those out because they were really, really good. And like this was all Justine's idea, by the way. This was not mine, but they were so fun to do and it was just so awesome. And so you can go check those out. And then two, I got a word that Google Podcasts next year, I guess, is not gonna be around. I don't know. I got something on our podcast page. So if you are a subscriber on Google, I don't know. Tell me, message us, whatever, wherever you want this thing, we can try and get it. So just let us know because I can do that because I don't want you guys to lose this, especially if you're listening. So again, if you're a Google podcaster listener, let me know where I should put this thing. They're saying something about YouTube. I don't know. So just, yeah, I guess let me know. I just saw that and I was like, oh, I should mention that if anyone's listening because I don't know how else to interact with
Yeah.
everybody.
Because
Um,
especially if that's your main place to listen.
yeah. I was like, ah. So like, let us know. But again, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this one. Like again, go back to Good Charlotte. If even if you like, all right, oh, they suck. Come on. No one's gonna fib on you. Go in your car,
Yeah.
go wherever.
Listen to it in secret.
Listen to the lifestyles of the rich and the famous. Bump that Riot Girl and the anthem and just the little things. Listen to the little things. Just
Mhm.
listen to them. Like it's so, so good. And it's just such an important band to so many. And again, even if you don't like them, I hope you really just enough have respect for the band
Mhm.
because yes,
Yeah, because like, you
I
can not like them, but you should still respect them because they
yes,
still are a pretty big deal.
yes, and oh, again, guys, thank you so much, and we will see you guys next Tuesday, bright and early as always. I always try and get it up early, but we will see you guys next Tuesday. All right, bye, guys.